The Indianapolis 500 is an automobile race held annually at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Speedway, Indiana, an enclave suburb of Indianapolis, Indiana. The event is held over Memorial Day weekend, which is typically the last weekend in May. It is contested as part of the Verizon IndyCar Series, the top level of American championship car racing, an open-wheel formula colloquially known as IndyCar racing. The event, billed as the greatest spectacle in racing, is considered part of the Triple Crown of Motorsport, which comprises three of the most prestigious motorsports events in the world. The official attendance is not disclosed by Speedway management, but the permanent seating capacity is upwards of 250,000, and infield patrons raise the race day attendance to approximately 300,000. The inaugural running was won by Ray Harroun in 1911. The race celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2011, and the 99th running was held in 2015. Juan Pablo Montoya is the defending champion. The most successful drivers are A.J. Foyt, Alonso, and Rick Mears, each of whom have won the race 4 times. Rick Mears holds the record for most career pole positions with 6. The most successful car owner is Roger Penske, owner of Team Penske, which has 16 total wins and 17 poles. For a list of races and winners, see List of Indianapolis 500 winners. Race specifics. The Indianapolis 500 is held annually at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a 2.5-mile oval circuit. Drivers race 200 laps, counterclockwise around the circuit, for a distance of 500 miles. Since its inception in 1911, the race has always been scheduled on or around Memorial Day. Since 1974, the race has been scheduled for the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. Practice and time trials are held in the 2 weeks leading up to the race. Traditionally, the field consists of 33 starters, aligned in a starting grid of 11 rows of 3 cars apiece. The event is contested by Indy cars, a formula of professional-level, single-seat, open-cockpit, open-wheel, purpose-built race cars. As of 2015, all entrants utilized 2.2 LV6 twin-turbocharged engines, tuned to produce a range of 550 to 700 horsepower. Chevrolet and Honda are the current engine manufacturers involved in the sport. Firestone, which has a deep history in the sport, dating back to the first 500, is the exclusive tire provider. The race is the most prestigious event of the IndyCar calendar, and one of the oldest and most important automobile races. It has been avouched to be the largest single-day sporting event in the entire world. Likewise, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway itself is regarded as the world's largest sporting facility in terms of capacity. The total purse exceeded $13 million in 2011, with over $2.5 million awarded to the winner, making it one of the richest cash prize funds in sports history. The early years. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway complex was built in 1909 as a gravel and tar track and hosted a smattering of small events, including ones for motorcycles. The first long-distance event, in fearful conditions, was the 100-lap Presto Light Trophy in 1909, won by Bob Berman in a Buick. Breakup of the asphalt led to 2 fatal accidents in the first 2 long-distance events and 300 miles, which was shortened to 235 miles after 2 severe wrecks. That these spectacles had attracted 15,000 paying customers persuaded principal owner Carl G. Fisher to spend $155,000 on repaving the track with 3.2 million bricks. He also added a 2 feet (9 in) concrete wall around the track circumference. During the 1910 Memorial Day weekend, the first events on the newly paved circuit drew 60,000 spectators. Ray Harroun won the 200 miles Wheeler Shebula Trophy in Amman. The crowds grew progressively smaller for the rest of the season, however, so the track owners chose to focus on a single race. They considered a 24-hour contest, in the fashion of Le Mans, or a 1,000 miles. They instead chose a 500 miles contest, and offered a spectacular purse of $25,000, equivalent to 37.615 kilograms of pure gold. The combination allowed the track to rapidly acquire a privileged status for automobile races. The first 500 was held at the Speedway on Memorial Day, May 30, 1911, run to a 600 cu in maximum engine size formula. It saw a field of 40 starters, with Haraun piloting a Marmon Model 32 base Wasp racer, outfitted with his invention, the rear-view mirror. Haraun was declared the winner, although Ralph Mulford protested the official result. 80,000 spectators were in attendance, and an annual tradition had been established. Many considered Haraun to be a hazard during the race, as he was the only driver in the race driving without a riding mechanic, who checked the oil pressure, and let the driver know when traffic was coming. In 1912, the purse was raised to $50,000. The field was limited to 33 and a riding mechanic was made mandatory. This second event was won by Joe Dawson International, after Ralph de Palma's Mercedes broke. Although the first race was won by an American driver at the wheel of an American car, European makers such as the Italian Fiat or French Peugeot companies soon developed their own vehicles to try to win the event, which they did from 1912 to 1919. The 1913 event saw a change to a 450 cu in maximum engine size. After World War I, the native drivers and manufacturers regained their dominance of the race. Engineer Harry Miller set himself up as the most competitive of the post-war builders. His technical developments allowed him to be indirectly connected to a history of success that would last into the mid-1970s. For musical entertainment prior to the start of the race, the Peugeot All-American Marching Band began performing on the track near the finish line in 1927 and has been the host band of the race ever since. In 1946, American operatic tenor and car enthusiast James Melton started the tradition of singing "Back Home Again" in Indiana with the Peugeot Band. Before the race, when asked to do so on the spur of the moment by Speedway president Tony Hulman, this tradition has continued through the years, notably by actor and singer Jim Nabors from 1972 until 2014. Nabors announced in 2014 that the 2014 Indy 500 would be the last at which he would sing. In 2015, the a cappella group Straight No Chaser sang the song before the race. Miller and Offenhauser, following the European trends, engine sizes were limited to 183 cu and during 1920 to 1922, 122 cu in for 1923 to 1925, and 91 cu in 1926 to 1929. The 1920 race was won by Gaston Chevrolet in a Frontenac, prepared by his brothers, powered by the first 8-cylinder engine to win the 500. For 1923, riding mechanics were no longer required. A supercharged car, ID, first won the race in 1924. In 1925, Pete DePillo was the first to win at an average over 100 miles per hour, with a speed of 101.13 miles per hour. In the early 1920s, Miller built his own 3.0-liter engine, inspired by the Peugeot Grand Prix engine which had been serviced in his shop by Fred Offenhauser in 1914, installing it in Jimmy Murphy's Duesenberg and allowing him to win the 1922 edition of the race. Miller then created his own automobiles, which shared the Miller designation, which, in turn, were powered by supercharged versions of his 2.0 and 1.5-liter engine single-seaters, winning 4 more races for the engine up to 1929. The engines powered another 7 winners until 1938. then ran it first with stock-type motors before later being adjusted to the International 3.0-liter formula. After purchasing the speedway in 1927, Eddie Rickenbacker prohibited supercharging and increased the displacement limit to 366 cu in, while also reintroducing the riding mechanic. In 1935, Miller's former employees, Fred Offenhauser and Leo Goosen, had already achieved their first win with the soon-to-become famous four-cylinder Offenhauser or Offie engine. This motor was forever connected with the Brickyard's history with a to-date record total of 27 wins, in both naturally aspirated and supercharged form, and winning a likewise record holding 18 consecutive years between 1947 and 1964. European incursions. Meanwhile, European manufacturers, gone from the Indianapolis 500 for nearly 2 decades, made a brief return just before World War II, with the competitive Maserati 8CTF allowing Wilbur Shaw to become the first driver to win consecutively at Indianapolis, Indiana 1939-1940, with the 500 having been a part of the Formula One World Drivers' Championship between 1950 and 1960. Ferrari made a discreet appearance at the 1952 event with Alberto Ascari, but European entries were few and far between during those days. Among the Formula One drivers who did drive at the speedway was the legendary Argentinian Juan Manuel Fangio, though he failed to qualify for the 1958 race. In fact, it was not until the Indianapolis 500 was removed from the Formula One calendar that European entries made their return, with Australia's two-time and reigning World Drivers' Champion Jack Brabham driving his slightly modified F1 Cooper in the 1961 race. In 1963, technical innovator Colin Chapman brought his team Lotus to Indianapolis for the first time, attracted by the large monetary prizes, far bigger than the usual at a European event. Racing a mid-engined car, Scotsman Jim Clark was second in his first attempt in 1963, dominating in 1964 until suffering suspension failure on lap 47, and completely dominating the race in 1965, a victory which also interrupted the success of the Offie, and offering the 4.2-litre Ford V8 its first success at the race. The following year, 1966, saw another British win, this time Graham Hill in a Lola Ford. Offenhauser too would join forces with a European maker, McLaren, obtaining 3 wins for the chassis. One with the Penske team in 1972 with driver Mark Donohue, and 2 for the McLaren Works team in 1974 and 1976 with Johnny Rutherford. This was also the last time the Offie would win a race, its competitiveness steadily decreasing until its final appearance in 1983. American drivers kept on filling the majority of entries at the Brickyard for the following years, but European technology had taken over. Starting in 1978, most chassis and engines were European, with the only American-based chassis to win during the kart era being the Wildcat and Galma in 1982 and 1992 respectively. Ford and Chevrolet engines were built in the UK by Cosworth and Ilmore, respectively. World Series. After foreign cars became the norm, foreign drivers began competing in the Indianapolis 500 on a regular basis, choosing the United States as their primary base for their motor racing activities. Brazilian Emerson Fittipaldi, Italian Teo Fabi and Colombian Roberto Guerrero were able to obtain good outings in the 80s, as did Dutchman Arie Luijendijk. However, it was not until 1993 that reigning Formula One world champion Nigel Mansell shocked the racing world by moving to the United States, winning the kart PPG IndyCar World Series championship and only losing the 500 in his rookie year because of inexperience with green flag restarts. Foreign-born drivers became a regular fixture of Indianapolis, Indiana the years to follow. Despite the increase in foreign drivers commonly being associated with the kart era, it should be noted that 4 of the first 6 Indianapolis 500 winners were non-American drivers. Race name: the race was originally advertised as the International 500-mile Sweepstakes Race, from 1911 to 1916. However, from its inception, the race has been widely known as the Indianapolis 500, or, more simply, as the 500. In 1919, the race was referred to as the Liberty Sweepstakes. Following World War I, from 1920 to 1980, the race officially reverted to the International Sweepstakes moniker, as printed on the tickets and other paraphernalia, with slight variations over the years. Following World War II, the race was commonly recognized as the 500, the 500-mile race, Indianapolis 500-mile race, Indianapolis 500, or the simple form, Indy 500. Usually the ordinal preceded it. Often the race was also advertised on the radio as the annual Memorial Day race, or similar variations. Since 1981, the race has been formally advertised in this fashion, complete with a unique annual logo with the ordinal almost always included. Around that same time, in the wake of the 1979 entry controversy, and the formation of CART, the race changed to an invitational event, rather than an open, rendering the sweepstakes description inappropriate. Since its inception, the race has eschewed any sort of naming rights or title sponsor, a move, though uncommon in the modern sports world, has been well received by fans. While the facility has numerous sponsor billboards around the grounds, including some mildly controversial ads on the retaining walls and infield grass, the Speedway has preferred to feature a contingent of several prominent official race sponsors rather than one primary title sponsor. In the 21st century on television, the race broadcast has been advertised with a title sponsor. Currently on ABC TV, the race is referred to as the Indianapolis 500 telecast presented by GoDaddy.com, but this appears only on the U.S. telecasts, and mention of the sponsor is not visible for patrons at the track. The Borg-Warner Trophy, introduced in 1936, proclaims the event as the Indianapolis 500-mile race, with no reference at all to the name of International Sweepstakes. Centennial era. In 2009, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway began a 3-year-long Centennial era to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the opening of the track, and the 100th anniversary of the first Indy 500. As a gesture to the nostalgic Centennial era celebration, tickets for the 2009 race donned the moniker 93rd 500-mile International Sweepstakes. It is the first time since 1980 that the sweepstakes title has been used. During the month of May 2009, the ordinal was used very sparingly, and for the first time since 1981, was not identified on the annual logo. Instead, in most instances in print, television, and radio, the race was referred to as the 2009 Indianapolis 500. Since the race was not held during the United States' participation in the 2 World Wars, the advertised Centennial era occurred during the 93rd to 95th runnings. To avoid confusion between the 100th anniversary and the actual number of times the race has been run, references to the ordinal during the Centennial era were curtailed. 4 local Indiana actors were asked to portray the 4 original founders of the track. They appeared multiple times over the course of the Centennial era events, posing for pictures and signing autographs at the Track, Hall of Fame Museum and more. All were coached by track historian Donald Davidson on their characters. Carl G. Fisher was Tom Harrison, Frank H. Wheeler was Jeff Angel, James A. Allison was Hal Hefner, and Arthur C. Newby was Matthew W. Allen. The founding 4 added to the excitement of the Centennial era events, bringing the history of the track to life. female drivers. Female participation of any sort at Indianapolis was discouraged and essentially banned throughout the first several decades of competition. As such, female reporters were not even allowed in the pit area until 1971. There have been 9 female drivers to qualify, starting with Janet Guthrie in 1977. Sarah Fisher has competed 9 times, the most of any woman. Danica Patrick led 19 laps in the 2005 race and 10 laps in the 2011 race, the only times a woman has led laps during the race. Her third-place finish in 2009 is the best finish for a woman.